Smrti, literally that which is remembered, refers to a body of Hindu texts usually attributed to an author, traditionally written down but constantly revised, in contrast to Śrutis considered authorless, that were transmitted verbally across the generations, and fixed.Smriti is a derivative secondary work and is considered less authoritative than Sruti in Hinduism, except in Mimamsa school of Hindu philosophy. The Smrti literature is a corpus of diverse varied texts. This corpus includes, but is not limited to, the 6 Vedāngas, the epics, the Dharmasūtras and Dharmaśāstras, the Arthasaśāstras, the Purānas, the Kāvya, a poetical literature, extensive Bhasyas, and numerous Nibandhas covering politics, ethics, culture, arts and society. Each Smrti text exists in many versions, with many different readings. Smritis were considered fluid and freely rewritten by anyone in ancient and medieval Hindu tradition. Etymology. Smrti is a Sanskrit word, from the root smara, which means remembrance, reminiscence, thinking of or upon, calling to mind, or simply memory. The word is found in ancient Vedic literature, such as in section 7.13 of the Chandogya Upanishad. In later and modern scholarly usage, the term refers to tradition, memory, as well as a vast post-Vedic canon of tradition that is remembered. David Brick states that the original meaning of Smrti was simply tradition and not texts. Smrti is also symbolic synonym for number 18, for the 18 scholars who are credited in Indian tradition for writing Dharma-related Smrti texts. In linguistic traditions, Smrti is the name of a type of verse meter. In Hindu mythology, Smrti is the name of the daughter of Dharma and Meda. In scholarly literature, Smrti is also spelled as Smrti. Texts, Smrtis represent the remembered, written tradition in Hinduism. The Smrti literature is a vast corpus of derivative work. All Smrti texts are regarded to ultimately be rooted in or inspired by Shruti. The Smrti corpus includes, but is not limited to, the 6 Vedāngas, the Itihasa epics, the texts on the 4 proper goals or aims of human life, Dharma. These texts discuss Dharma from various religious, social, duties, morals and personal ethics perspective. Each of 6 major schools of Hinduism has its own literature on Dharma. Examples include Dharmasūtras and Dharmaśāstras. At personal Dharma level, this includes many chapters of Yoga Sutras. Artha-related texts discuss Artha from individual, social and is a compendium of economic policies, politics and laws. For example, the Arthasaśāstras of Chanakya, the Kamandakya Nitisara, Brihaspati Sutra and Sukraniti. Olivel states that most Artha-related treatises from ancient India have been lost. Karma. These discuss arts, emotions, love, erotics, relationships and other sciences in the pursuit of pleasure. The Kama Sutra of Vatsyayana is most well known. Others texts include Ratirahasya, Jayumangala, Smaradipika, Ratamanjari, Ratiratnapradipika, and Angaranga among others. Moksha. These develop and debate the nature and process of liberation, freedom and spiritual release. Major treatises on the pursuit of moksha include the later Upanishads, Vivekachudamani, and the Sastras on yoga. The Purānas, the Kāvya, poetical literature, the extensive Bhasyas, the Sutras and Shastras of the various schools of Hindu philosophy, the numerous Nibandhas covering politics, medicine, ethics, culture, arts and society. The structure of Smrti texts. The Smrti texts structurally branched, over time, from so-called the limbs of the Vedas, or auxiliary sciences for perfecting grammar and pronunciation. For example, the attempt to perfect the art of rituals led to the science of Kalpa, which branched into 3 Kalpa Sutras, Rota Sutras, Grhya Sutras, and Dharma Sutras. The Rota Sutras became became texts describing the perfect performance of public ceremonies. The Grhya Sutras described perfect performance of home ceremonies and domestic rites of passage, and Dharmasūtras described jurisprudence, rights and duties of individuals in 4 ashrama stages of life, and social ethics. The Dharmasūtras themselves became the foundations for a large canon of texts, and branched off as numerous Dharmasāstras texts. Jan Gonda states that the initial stages of Smrti texts structurally developed in the form of a new prose genre named sutras, that is, aphorism, highly compact, precise expression that captured the essence of a fact, principle, instruction, or idea. This brevity in expression, states Gonda, was likely necessitated by the fact that writing technology had not developed yet and not in vogue. In order to store growing massive knowledge, and all sorts of knowledge was transferred from one generation to the next through the process of memorization, verbal recitation and listening in the first millennium BCE. Compressed content allowed more essential, densely structured knowledge to be memorized and verbally transferred to the next generation in ancient India. Role of Smrti in Hindu law. Smrtis contribute to exposition of the Hindu Dharma but are considered less authoritative than Śrutis. Earlier Smrti on Hindu law. Dharmasūtras, the root texts of ancient Hindu jurisprudence and law, are the Dharmasūtras. These express the Śrutis, Smrti and Akara as sources of jurisprudence and law. The precedence of these sources is declared in the opening verses of each of the known, surviving Dharmasūtras. For example, the source of Dharma is the Veda, as well as the tradition and practice of those who know the Veda. The Dharma is taught in each Veda, in accordance with which we will explain it. What is given in the tradition is the second, and the conventions of cultured people are the third. The Dharma is set forth in the Vedas and the traditional texts. When these do not address an issue, the practice of cultured people becomes authoritative. The Bhasyas, the Dharma Sutra 1.4 to 1.5, later Smrti on Hindu law. Dharma Smrti. The Smritis, such as Manusmriti, Narada Smrti, Yajnavalkya Smrti and Parashara Smrti, expanded this definition as follows. Translation 1. The whole Veda is the source of the sacred law, next the tradition and the virtuous conduct of those who know thee, also the customs of holy men, and self-satisfaction. Translation 2. The root of the religion is the entire Veda, and the tradition and customs of those who know, and the conduct of virtuous people, and what is satisfactory to oneself. Translation 1. The Veda, the sacred tradition, the customs of virtuous men, and one's own pleasure, they declare to be the fourfold means of defining the sacred law. Translation 2. The Veda, tradition, the conduct of good people, and what is pleasing to oneself, they say that is fourfold mark of religion. The Yajnavalkya Smrti includes 4 Vedas, 6 Vedāngas, Purāna, Nyaya, Mimamsa and other sastras, in addition to the ethical conduct of the wise, as sources of knowledge and through which sacred law can be known. It explains the scope of the Dharma as follows: rights, proper conduct, Dharma, ahimsa, charity, self-study, work, realization of Atman through yoga. All these are Dharma. Levinson states that the role of Shruti and Smrti in Hindu law is as a source of guidance, and its tradition cultivates the principle that the facts and circumstances of any particular case determine what is good or bad. The later Hindu texts include fourfold sources of Dharma, states Levinson, which include Atmanastashti, Sadhakara, Smrti and Sruti. Bhashya on Dharma Smrti. Medhata. These philosophical analysis of and commentary on criminal, civil and family law in Dharmasāstras, particularly of Manusmriti, using Nyaya and Mimamsa theories, is the oldest and the most widely studied tertiary Smrti.